This is the scientific method video done by Travis Vicious. The first step in the scientific method is an observation. An observation is made when someone witnesses an event or problem occur. When they see that event or problem occur, they begin to question it and wonder, why is that even happening? So they create a hypothesis. A hypothesis is used to predict why that event or problem is occurring. And it creates an if and then statement. For example, if I'm a cat, then why am I a scientist? To figure out why you're a cat or a scientist, you begin to create an experiment. So you develop an experiment and create procedures and rules to test your hypothesis and whether or not the hypothesis will be true or false. Once the experiment has been completed, you collect and analyze all the data and results that have been found, looking for any correlation between the numbers. Compare it to your hypothesis and determine whether or not it proves or disproves your original hypothesis. Once that has been done, you collect all of your data and results, everything from your experiment, including all and any methods that were used, and you publish them to scientific journals for everybody to see in the world. This helps people determine whether or not they want to continue the research and how further research can gain and become better based on the research that you have completed. Now that we have an understanding of the scientific method, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about laws and theories. A theory is an analysis of a set of facts in relation to one another. So it is not necessarily something that has been proven to be known every time that this is true. It is proven but yet unproven. So it is a theory. Prime example is the Big Bang Theory. Not the TV show, but the theory that 13.7 billion years ago there was this big explosion that created the universe, and this explosion has allowed everything to grow and thus created different galaxies, possibly even different universes. We don't know. That's a theory. And the solar system as we know it. When people think of theories, this is what they tend to think of. They're not completely wrong, but that's what more of a law looks like. A scientific law is a statement that has been repeatedly proven under the exact same conditions to be true. For example, Newton's first law of motion says that a body in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an other force or an outside force. For example, this would be if somebody was to throw a ball, it would continue forever and ever in the exact same speed, at the exact same height, everything, unless acted upon as an outside force. Now, the reason why this doesn't happen, because on Earth, we have gravity acting upon that ball, and the ball will begin to lose speed due to friction in the air, and gravity will bring it back to the ground and eventually come to a stop. Now that we have an idea of how all this works, let's take a look into how the scientific method is. So this is Jimmy and Billy here. Jimmy and Billy are really good friends and decide to take a class together called Earth and Space Science. Jimmy, knowing there's a test coming up, decides to study and read his book. Billy, on the other hand, decides screw it and decides to take a nap. Jimmy gets an A on the test, but Billy, he sadly fails. So they begin to wonder, why? Why did they get the grade they got? So they come up with a hypothesis. If someone studies, will they receive a better grade in the class? Jimmy and Billy decide to create an experiment by creating a survey to give out to their classmates on how long they studied. Once everybody completed the surveys, Jimmy and Billy gathered and analyzed all the data and determined that yes, the more time you spend studying, the better grade you would receive on the test. Though this could not be mathematically proven, so therefore it's not a law, it is determined that this is a theory. Jimmy and Billy decide to share their research with everybody by publishing it in the Journal of Scientific Research.